8 o'clock in the River Hall.
Oh, who's going to be the guest speaker?
Rabbi Silverbrook.
You said 8 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's he?
he gives the Tanya shir on Thursday night.
He gives
an amazing shir. He's like,
he's the best.
yeah, he's. You're really going to enjoy it. He's.
Okay, thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'achnu v'dvarim.
What is I mean?
Should get honored.
Today in front of. That's what name means in front of. Where's the bagel slicer?
Oh, the chassid came on time. Come, I have something special for you.
Yeah, what do you have? I want to look at this.
Oh, we're all moving to Israel.
Huh?
Well, you missed Shabbos. We spoke all about it on Shabbos.
Oh, yeah, what did you talk
About the properties we're getting in Israel.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for.
Good morning. Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah. Thank you. Something small.
good. Okay. Start. It has 4 wheels and it moves. That's the main thing.
100%. Rabbi, good morning. I brought some show and tell for you to examine after.
Oh, okay, very
Yeah.
good. Okay. Okay.
We were going the other day. I said, it's not going, but there's lots of comedians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
The president said it, put it in, so that's it. What about? The extra one, is there another opening? No, the paper. Okay. Yeah. We could spray roofs. Sometimes it's at least one.
You know, my other Bobby used to always say, there's room on the heart, there's room on the table.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly true. Okay. It's a beautiful morning in the month of Kislev, which is called Chodesh HaShlishi. It's the 3rd month. And just like in the summer, there's a Chodesh HaShlishi, the 3rd month, which is the time when we got the Aseres HaDibros and the Nigla the Torah, the revealed part of Torah. Chodesh HaShlishi in the winter is when we get into the learning of Pnimius HaTorah. Okay. I wanted to start off with a question. There is a minhag to say Vayiten Lecha Motzoi Shabbos. There's a Chabad minhag to say a dafka with another person. Why am I bringing it up this week? No one asked me about it this week, but it's this week's parsha. That the bracha that Yaakov gets from his father is Vayiten Lecha. Rashi says Yitin v'yachzer v'yitin. It's a very strong bracha. So there's a Chabad minhag to say it 2 people together on Motzei Shabbos after Avdallah. Now, in general, about the psukim of Vayiten Lecha, there's 2 minhagim. There's one minhag to say it in the shul as part of the Seder. There's a special thing in Motzei Shabbos that after Shmoneh Esrei we say Tchinas, Psukim, Zmoidim, we say special things. In the Ashkenaz shuls, they don't say just like by us in Chabad, in Nusach Hari, where they only say Yoshe B'Seisa Nata Kodesh, but they say much more. Vayiten Lecha plus, a very fancy Vayiten Lecha.
No, they say by you look at the benches by all those mirrors from Malav Malka.
No, I say it in shul.
No,
they say it in shul.
By Malav Malka, they say usually.
I say it in shul. They say it in shul.
The Hamish.
Huh? They say we say it after Avdollah at home. Why? Because that's the Alter Rebbe took that Api Kabbalah from the Chaim Vital and the Priyetz Chaim. Today I want to focus on this thing. What's the general mocker of Vayiten Lecha? And what is the mocker of the Minhag Chabad to say Vayiten Lecha together, 2 people together, at least 2-3 people together?
2 or more.
Yeah. The mocker from saying Vayiten Lecha is in the Zohar. The Zohar says Iu mamtin ad ishlimus kedusha de sedura in chiyovim de gehina matzdikim alai din de kuchabrichu. Avinun mekaim alahu barnash kol bechon de ko amri sebura Vayiten Lecha Lakim metal shamayim baruch ata beir baruch ata vasoda. The Zohar says that there is a person that's mamtin that waits. There are people that Shabbos comes out. They're in a rush. They need to get pizza, smoke a cigarette. They need to check up what's the latest news. That maybe something really big happened. Huh? What's going on with Bitcoin? So he wants to know if he made $1 million or lost $1 million. There's no hurry. Zok the Zohar, that's not good. Why? Because you know what? There are people that are in Gehenim, and on Shabbos they give rest to the people that are in Gehenim. When do they have to go back to Gehenim? When we finish davening Ma'ariv, they give them. We give them a chance because Ma'ariv is still a chelik kilu from Shabbos, so they get a chance to stay out of the Gehenim. So these people that are neshamas that have to be cleansed in Gehenim, and they see that there are people that are mamtin, they take out Shabbos slowly, they're not in a rush, they're saying extra psukim, which is like a trick to keep them out of Gehenim for a few more minutes. So those people, those neshamas that are waiting to go back to Gehenim and they get a few more minutes of reprieve, they look down at the neshamas on the earth and they say, you're saying Vayiten Lecha, you're saying Baruch Ata Be'ir, Baruch Ata B'Soda, the Eibusha should bench you, that the Eibusha should bench you, that all these brachas should be in the skyim, that the Eibusha should give it to you. Okay.
The ones in Gehenna are saying that?
Yeah. So, I obviously, so it's obvious to us because we're Yidden, in the culture we grew up with, just because someone is in Gehenna, he's not condemned. So for a bit he gets cleansed, but he can give a bracha just because he's in Gehenna. His bracha is worthless. No, faket. We're very happy to get a bracha even from a neshama that's in Gehenna. Big deal. So he's getting cleansed, but we're very excited to get a bracha from a neshama even if he's in Gehenna. You see from here. Huh? What does that? The Shabbos.
Have you supported to make Shabbos longer to keep them out?
No, it's a good, yeah.
How do you know they're davening? How do you know?
The Zohar says. What do you mean? How do I know? The Shimon Bechai must have been there a few times.
Oh, and I just want to know the source. So people asking me.
Okay, it's if you sit down and you look, you'd see it's the Zohar Soif Akdama. That's why I gave you the paper.
And also, Rabbi, you taught us that sometimes people always think Gehenna is a bad thing. Sometimes going into Gehenna is a cleansing spot, so we can go into all.
Right. Right. So we're happy to get a bracha from these
people can't even get into Gehenna.
Right. Exactly. The Gemara says some people are not lucky enough to get into Gehenna. Exactly.
I hope I'm not one of those people.
Amen. Okay. What is the reason we say Vayiten Lecha? So the simple reading in the Zohar is kilu. It's a trick to say a few more things in the end of the tefillah to keep the people out of Gehenna. But there's brought in Sfonim a few reasons. Number one is that the reason is the Tovis the Poishi Yisrael, the Machzah Vitri, which is Talmidim of Rashi, right? Lakach marichem betfila b'Motzoi Shabbos v'emer v'hinoyim v'sei the kedusha psukim nachamas lacherem nasheim Shabbos yotzim Poishi Yisrael Gehenim yesh lahem menucha b'Shabbos. It's in other words, it sounds like the Zohar. Another reason is that the people that are saying it's a special schus for them. In the Siddur Ekeach says Lach Avdollah b'Beis HaKnesses Emer Mekol Yerom Vayiten Lecha, which is Nusach Ashkenaz, that they say V'yinoyim Anat HaKodesh, and then they say in Shul itself before Aleinu Vayiten Lecha. Lefisha Shavua Nechneses Ve'emrim Psukim Tovim Broches Ushloimes V'Nachames V'Oid Miksivke V'Simcha Teitzeu V'Shalom Tovalim. That it's a schus for us, and one of the things he says is he was starting the week, so we want to start with a good schus, so we're giving brachas. And one of the brachas we say is Ki v'simcha teitzeu v'shalom tovalim. We're going out from the kedusha of Shabbos into the week, so we're giving a bracha. It should be v'simcha teitzeu.
What part of davening are we talking about?
And Motzei Shabbos, after Shmoneh before Aleinu. And for those that are Nusach Arizal or Nusach Sfard, say it after Havdalah, right after Havdalah.
It's Ashkenaz?
No, Ashkenaz say it in Shul before Aleinu. Sfard say it at home, or Chabad at least say it at home right after Havdalah.
Never noticed.
And similar to that is in another Sifrim in Hagim, it says, Vayiten Lecha Lefisha Metchilas HaShavua Yiskinu La'aschem Psukim Tovim L'Simen Tov V'loi Mishum Nichush Ki Lo Nachash B'Yaakov. Not Chas V'Shalom Inyan. Nichush, the Gemara, it says, if you look at a pasuk and say, this pasuk is going to give me, you say a child, Psuik Li Psukecha, the child says a pasuk like by Mordechai Tzaddik and the three children, one said, Utzu Eitzav V'Sufar, Dabar Davar V'Lo. So he said, it's a good simon. That's fine. So we start in the week with saying psukim to give us a good simon. I like it. Third reason, an interesting reason. One of the Rebbes of Rashi, Reb Shlomo Worms, writes, there are people that want to take out Shabbos later, so they don't rush out to go out of shul. So if a person is taking out Shabbos a little later, so he could daven, so he'll say the psukim at home. But if in those places that it was dangerous to walk at home alone, at least he's going to have someone to walk home with. So he adds also that it's a good way to start the week. It's a good way to start the week with learning psukim from Torah, Nevim, and Ksuvim. Okay, there's a story from the Frierdiker Rebbe that the Rebbe once told, and Fabrengen a Motzei Shabbos Shuva Tov Shalom Ates. He said, "Men again, Lamidas Vayiten Lecha Reim Dvar Pella Banogas Rabbeinu Nesienu Shem Mishtadel Loima Vayiten Lecha Moed Echad. Any idea Atam Baze Im Ze Kadesh Yuch Loima Vayiten Lecha L'Sheni V'chein L'Shmoya Mashen Vayiten Lecha Oy Ta'amacher." The Rebbe says, "I'm not really sure what the reason for this meaning is, but he raises a possibility. Asvora, maybe." That when you sing two people together in the siddur Vayiten Lecha, so I'm saying to you Vayiten Lecha, Hashem should give to you, and you're saying to me Vayiten Lecha, Hashem should, we're each giving a bracha to each other. That's a svara that the Rebbe is saying, and then he's saying maybe there's another reason. Ad shelo kam apam shafilu b'zmanim shezmanim shel kavod kedushas meir v'chamei admoir hoya mechushav b'yoser hoya nishir acher avdol ve'mabed b'siddur b'yachid emoid echad. Is to look into one siddur, two people looking into one siddur, or a few people, he would ask a few people to come over. In other words, the Rebbe said that his father, there were times in his life where things were, he lived in very tumultuous times. So, but still, Motzei Shabbos, he could pick up the siddur and say, he could pick up the siddur and say Vayiten Lecha himself. It'll be half the time. He would wait. He would call over at least one more person, sometimes two, and they would open up the siddur and they would say together from the beginning to the end of Vayiten Lecha. So the truth is in Sefer Segulas Yisrael, he brings like the Segula leParnasa. There's a Segula Loime B'chol Motzoi Shabbos Kodesh Vayiten Lecha.
Oh, thank you. Next time.
There's a lot of Segulas that there is by Yidden. Chas v'shalom to ever smirk in a segula. Befrat a segula that we know, that we see, Shalavicha v'yad chos keinecha v'yem v'lo. So especially if the Rebbe said he saw that his father-in-law was Medayik in this minute, and we see taket that we find in a few svarim that it's brought that it's a segula for Parnasa to say Vayiten Lecha. And two people should say it together. Reb Mendele, Zecher, Tzadik Levrocha, It doesn't say a reason. But he said that Mendele of Rimenov said that it's a Segula Parnasa if two people say it together, the Vayiten Lecha.
From Sefer Segulos.
Sefer Segulos, yeah.
Okay.
לכן הוא בספר time and hogam shem god lech the project כתב shem shtem shem yach vit lecho agre the tzvi there's a sefer agre the parker from the Dinever from the Bnai Yisrael, and he said there's in the bottom there's a commentary from he writes a nice story. He writes that it says in agre the parker shesh lahakbet bekriyas techoch shel yamad adam negdo yetzloi. He says that when a person reads the Techocha, he shouldn't read it right in front of another Jew, because it's as if he's giving the Techocha to another Jew.
Other than the Balkaira and Shul, what else do you get the Techocha by?
If he's doing Shnai Mikr Vechatargum, or if he's learning Chitas from Tilam Tanya. So the Mendelev says but without a reason. But this guy writes that the Bnai Yisrael says that whenever you say the Techocha, you shouldn't say it with another Jew in front of you. So he says maybe by a bracha it was the other way around. You want to find, if you're ready saying Vayiten Lecha, you want to grab another Jew, let the bracha be chal on him, and the Vaila he's going to say Vayiten Lecha on the bracha will be chal on you. And Hayoset Chazgula for Parnasa, the idea of Vayiten Lecha, which it's not hard to imagine why Vayiten Lecha is Chazgula Parnasa. Why is
flowing with all the blessings?
Right, that's the brachas, all the brachas. Metal Shamayim, Mishmanei Oretz, Berev Dogim, Besidish, Vayiten, Vayachem, Vayiten. So two people are together reading it. So I'm giving the bracha to you, and you're giving the bracha to me.
The blessings of Shabbos, you're carrying it into the week, or is it separate blessing?
It's a special blessing, Motzei Shabbos.
Separate things.
That we're giving
to be given Motzei Shabbos.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with Shabbos.
Yeah. Well, obviously it's to do with Shabbos, as we said before. That's three reasons what connects it. But the reason why we're saying it together is that one person is giving the bracha to the other person. Okay. It sounds from the Rebbe that there's many other reasons that could be said. I saw this in Sefer Chikrim in Hagen from Rav and Cholon, Rabbi Yochanan Gurari, who says, well, in the Zohar it's mashma that it said betzibur. So according to Minig Ashkenaz, they say it in Shul, they say betzibur. According to Minig Chabad, he's saying it at home. It's at least one more person. Miyat Rabbi Mishnayim, at least two people are saying it. In general, you say Vayiten is always a vav is always a connection. So it means. And the Rashi asks, what the Vayiten? Rashi gives three pshatim. When Rashi gives three pshatim, obviously, in pshat, it's not reading well. Because why is it should say Yitem? So one pshat is Yitem v'yachza v'yitem. But vav is always a connection. So you could say pshat, me and someone else. When is the Eibishter going to give a bracha when me and another Jew connect well? So then the Eibishter gives a bracha. So we want a bracha in the beginning of the week, that the whole week should go good in Parnasa. So we connect with another Jew, two Jews connect together. I give you the bracha and you give me the bracha. If I give myself a bracha, it doesn't work so well. But if I give you a bracha and you give me a bracha, it works really good.
You can do it a lot.
So it works very good. There is a tape from a CD. There is a CD from Avram Fried called Yankel. Mm-hmm. It came out maybe 10, 15 years ago. And over there he has a few Motzei Shabbos, beautiful songs from Motzei Shabbos.
Oh yeah.
Amar Hashem LaYaakov. There is 3-4 nuschot. I mean, there's a beautiful piyut to say Motzei Shabbos, and we're quite makpid in our family to say it. And there's a few nuschos. In other words, there's a few tunes. He has one of the standard tunes, one of the beautiful. We do it anyway. So it's a nigun to say by the Malava Malka Motzei Shabbos.
This is what the Ashkenaz say in Shul.
Yeah. No. This is Malava Malka. This is the mirrors from Malava Malka.
This is something else.
Yeah, the mirrors from Malava Malka. So in that tape, I'm just telling you, in that CD, there's a song that he has at Reb Mendel's nigun. You can look it up later. You'll look. Reb Mendel's nigun. Who is Reb Mendel? My Zayda. Right. So my grandfather, his father, had a song. He had many songs that he was machab himself, but this song he said he wasn't machab. But he heard it. Where did he hear it? I don't know. He heard it in the shtetl. He grew up in Minsk, but he came from a little town, Koidena. And he heard that old people singing the song, and he loved this song, and he connected it to Vayiten Lecha. So, if you listen to that CD, you'll know. My grandfather, I used to say with him, Vayiten Lecha, and he used to say every few lines with that niggin. That's how Avram Fried heard this niggin. It's a very catchy tune. It's a lebedika tune, and it's like you start dancing when you sing the tune.
It's not the Mendel niggin. It's the same one.
No, my Zayda, Mendel Maroza. It's not really his niggin. I'm just telling you, if you want to put it together with Vayiten Lecha, this is the way I sing every Motzei Shabbos. Vayiten Lecha Elokim. Mitala Shemaim Mishman Oretz Verev Dog, and this is Yavav Ducho Amim Vishtachavu Lecho Leyumim Avegevir Liachecha goes on. You can dance around the table. It's good. It's a good song. So if you download it, Yankel, it's I think third or fourth song. The Mendel's Niggin. You put it together with Vayiten Lecha, it goes very well.
My question, I was referring to Vayiten Lecha. Is that's what?
Vayiten Lecha, Ashkenaz say in the shul, Chabad say in the house.
Oh, okay.
But in 770, they say it over there.
No, they say it at home.
Vayiten Lecha?
At home. Oh, maybe the boys that are learning in yeshiva, and then they do Havdalah. So after Havdalah, they're saying it. They're saying it together. Yeah, could be. Okay. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next question. The Chabad has a minig that when you go to Kivrei Tzadikim, not to eat but to drink before. So why? As I spoke about it in the summer. I don't want to go back to that. In the summer I spoke about why, and today, after I spoke about it, people asked me details about this.
Let me say, why is it when the word Ohel has even for
That's
the
for Tzadikim, you're saying.
people who show up on whatever, people who not from, they've all been hugging. I've never said before.
Okay, so
List of all them hugging.
very nice. That's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Maybe they're more from than us.
So
No,
the
but I
thing
never
is,
talking about not eating. I never saw before.
so now you'll know that there's a piece of Zohar that is said in the Minor Loshen that there's a sefer called Minor Loshen that was put together by the Chabad Rabbeim, certain Pirkei Tehillim to say, certain Piyutim to say, and also a big piece of Zohar from Parshas Achri. And there's a big piece of Zohar that talks about the mile of tzaddikim after they pass away, how they're greater after they pass away, and what's the reason we go to Mispal B'Kivrei Tzaddikim? That's why are we going? What's the whole point of it? So when you're standing at the cave of a tzaddik, you should understand why. So just like when Rosh Hashanah we say the Psukim of Malchus Zacharon V'Shofar. So we're saying in the Torah we're reading from the Zohar HaKodesh. Why are we standing here? So we're reading in the Zohar. And the Zohar says that when a person goes, he should go while he's fasting. And I explained the Alpin Nigla, this is a little problematic because there's a thing of Doirish Kalamesim that the Goyim used to go fast and they used to go talk to the dead. Now the Zohar explains why it's different. The Zohar says that the people, the Goyim, go with Tumah and they don't believe in Hashem and we faked. We know that Tzaddikim are so devoted to the Eibishter. And a whole thing in the tzaddikim, even when they're dead, that are alive, so we're not really going to the dead, they're really alive. Aganza Zach in the Zohar. But the bottom line is, the Zohar says to fast. But there is a minig that is scared of, I can't fast, because that's what Torah says. Torah Shalom Eisiv, Amar V'atzmai, V'lom B'veis HaKvoros. So therefore, the Friedrich Rebbe said, Pshara, that you should drink and not eat. Okay. In general, this goes very well with the Chabad style. Don't feel very good about yourself that you're fasting. Don't go, my grace at tzaddik now, 7 times a year, 20 times a year, I fast. You're not fasting. You're fetish not fasting. But, and you also, you can't get dehydrated because you can drink plenty of water. It's not a problem. But it's almost as bad as fasting. When you go to the oil, by the time you come out, if it's 2-3 o'clock with achonis and everything, 4 o'clock, it's almost like fasting Asara B'Tevis. So, but you can't pat yourself on the back. So that's the Chabad way. Okay.
Question: when it talks about drinking, does it mean any drink or?
Very good. You're asking the question that I want to talk about now. Very good. So the question is, what's called a drink and what's called food? How about a piece of chocolate, Schmerling's chocolate? If I put it on my tongue and I'm not going to chew it, I'm just going to drink it with my coffee, it's going to melt. How about if I have some ice cream? Now, you could say if you're Chabadnik, you shouldn't have ice cream even after the oil, but that's a separate discussion.
Why? If you have the Kollel and the ice cream individually.
Okay, Shine. I don't know if anyone in Chabad knows today that the minhag Chabad is yet to eat ice cream today. So Shine, we're eating ice cream.
During the Second World War, I think the people told some people in the yeshiva not to eat it.
Only Second World War. All the Chabad Chassidim I know never tasted ice cream in their lifetime.
Really?
Before the war and after the war, middle of the war.
Ice cream store in Kingston, who they catered to.
I'm saying Chabad today, if I guess they forgot what the minhag is. It's a new minhag. It's a new Chabad minhag to eat ice cream.
What was the reason?
It's not necessary. You can be healthy with eating other things. You don't need to eat ice cream.
You know it's a healthy food.
Huh? No, never. It's out of the question. It's it's like a gelechte thing. No way. This was like a joke to them.
Really?
It's like, yeah, marozhina.
Mostly for cure purposes.
Like, you eat marozhina. Oh, you're crazy. But anyway, today, Baruch Hashem, Chabad eats ice cream. Best ice cream. So Shaila is...
Shabbos, do you have to say Kriya Shema before having coffee in the morning for davening?
Yeah, for sure.
And also during the week?
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about this. So if a person is going to the Ohel, so he's going to drink and not eat. So how soft does something have to be for it to be considered a drink, and how hard is it? And now it's not considered a drink any longer. So we'll go back to sugya a little bit that we did. We didn't do this sugya, but I'm saying in the summer usually do a little bit bichfanan. It's a little bit of throwback to this sugya, which is a favorite sugya to me. Right now, until we finish, it'll take us another summer or two till we finish it. So, just to summarize a long article from Rav Yitzchak Yosef, who is a prolific writer. He's not even 75, maybe years old. He already published 50 swan, 5-0. Swar the chief rabbi in Eretz Yisrael. Moedeke Talmud Chacham. Son of Rav Yosef, yeah. A moedeke Talmud Chacham. He has a knack of, he probably has a shpos, or kumas, he writes very clearly, like his father. It's a very, very clear way. Anyway, I'm just going to give a reduction of an article of his, in one of his svarim. It's in Yalkut Yosef Shabbos Aleph Gimmel, Simon Tafre, page Tafre Shayin Ches, whatever. It's a 10-page article. Okay, bottom line. He says that most poskim, contemporary poskim hold, he says that ice cream is a drink. Why? Because you don't chew it with your teeth. So therefore it's a drink.
Anyway, if it has like
and one second. And therefore he says 4.5 geminas in this article. 4.5 geminas. Number one, because it's a drink, the sheet is a revis, not a kazais. When you eat something, the sheet is a kazais, about an ounce. If it's liquid, it's a revis, about 3 ounces. So he says because the ice cream is a liquid, so the sheet is a revis. Number two, there are many poskim that hold that a revis you have to drink in one shot. In order to make a bracha achrona, you have to drink the 3 ounces. The Alter Rebbe doesn't hold that way. The Alter Rebbe holds as long as you drink it within the amount that it takes to eat a pras, which is 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever. So you can make a bracha achrona. There are poskim that hold you have to drink a revis, which is 3 ounces in one shot. So you can't take ice cream for 3 ounces in one shot. Right, exactly. So that's second. Third nafkamina is, and this I did mention once in last summer, that they say in the name of the Moshe Feinstein that if you have ice cream for dessert, you don't make shahakal because shahakal, at the end of the day, ice cream is frozen water. So because it's frozen water, so water is water. It's a drink. What? And that's what I don't understand. First of all, but the thing is that Moshe never wrote about it. Everyone says it in his name, but you can't find. Look, water, that's true. It's not true. Look, milk. What's if it's milk ice cream? What's this and what's that? I disagree. But
to bench.
He never wrote about it in Niggas Moshe, so it's not like love about my. They say it in his name. And then the fourth thing is that because ice cream is considered like a drink, so if you make Bode Priagofen on wine, then you wouldn't make a shahakol on the ice cream. It's 4 nafkaminas. But the all 4 are not not according to the Alter Rebbe. Reading the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe writes and said b'chzananen bracha chronet tzricha shir ein achila pchusa mekazayz v'enshtia pchusa merevius. There's no such thing. It's not considered that you ate. In order to make a bracha chron, you have to eat a kazayis or drink a revius, which is 1 ounce or 3 ounces, roundabout. If the food is melted, you could now drink it. It's not it's a drink. If it's a drink that congealed at sheroy la'achila, that now it's roy to eat, yotza metoides mashka, afila yesh boy tefeach hamanas latfiach. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe says you look at Pasher Husham, you look at the way it is, you look at the way it is right now. You look at the way it is right now. Now in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch in the bottom, it says to look in the Mishnah Taharas, pay the Gimmel Mishnah Gimmel. But over there's a whole discussion about liquids that freeze. And there's a Machloikis, Chachamim, Remeir, Shemesh Azuri, there's a Mishnah, and there's a Gemara, and the Gemara learns different than and there's a different Girsa, and all the Rishonim talk about it. It's a very complicated sugi in Tumah V'Tara. In Tumah V'Tara, there's 7 liquids. They're the biggest menace to society. The 7 liquids, Yad Shochad Dam. Any one of the 7 liquids, liquids carry Tumah like fire. Like fire. Something never touches one of the 7 liquids, it can't become tummy. As soon as it touches one of the 7 liquids, the music starts. So and then there is also what we keep, the Tumah V'Tara that we keep, which is Adova Shetibuli B'Mashka. Not everyone keeps it, B'Zman, but again, talking Chabad Chassidim, all the old Chabad Chassidim that I knew, they never, they always did Natilas Yadayim before they dipped. If they would dip a tea biscuit in the coffee, they would go do Natilas Yadayim first. If they ate a sour pickle, they would do Natilas Yadayim first. Again, it's not today's Chabad man, but that was the Chabad. It's good anyway, but that's why the din is. So again, not everyone does it, but the point is the din. Okay, so good. So the Alter Rebbe here. They think that the Alter Rebbe took this din from the halachas of Tumah V'Tara. I think not that way, because first of all, there's a simple rule in Tumah V'Tara: as soon as tefeach hamanas latfiach, that it's wet, that the wetness can come from here to there, that's already considered wet. And the Alter Rebbe says that if it's congealed and you can chew it, and you could eat it, it's considered a food, even if it has tefeach hamanas latfiach. That goes against the basic din of Tumah V'Tara. So obviously, the Alter Rebbe holds that we're not learning from the din of Tumah V'Tara. In L'Gabe Nozer, the Rambam writes this din. So he didn't take it from Tumah V'Tara. Why? Because the Stei Chemet says that a person has to be very careful not to learn any halachas from Tumah V'Tara. Tumah V'Tara has their own type of rules. Just because this is considered a solid and a liquid for Tumah V'Tara, it doesn't mean that you could learn to other halachas. And I think that the Alter Rebbe holds very strongly that way, that you can't learn from Tumah V'Tara to other halachas. Now I'll explain myself. Huh? Okay. So, you're paying attention. So I'm now going to explain Befrotis. But before I go on, I can make a mistake. So I'll explain it. Before I go on, I just want to make a beautiful ha'ora. In the rule in Tumah V'Tara is as soon as it's wet enough that tefeach hamanas latfiach, that I touch it here, and if I touch here, it'll be wet also here. Like if I touch this and I touch here, there's nothing wet here. Oh, that's not called wet. If I touch the salad over there and I go like this, if a little wetness will go, that's called wet. The Rebbe had an unbelievable koch. It's like some expressions. In Chabad, there's an expression, tefeach hamanas latfiach. What does that mean? The Rebbe said that he, just like madch by Tumah, like kedusha, it's kal v'chomer. That a person his avodas Hashem has to be so full of excitement that when he rubs off on another person, that some of his juice rubs off. that when we rub shoulders, that your avodas Hashem is so exciting that it rubs off on me, that it's infectious, that I also, it's that our avodas Hashem has to be that it's so exciting that it's infectious. It goes, rubs off from you onto me. If it's not rubbing off from you onto me, it's that your avodah is not good. That's how strong the avodas Hashem has to be. Anyway, so the Alter Rebbe writes.
Who says that?
The Rebbe says that hundreds of times. There was expression. The Rebbe wouldn't even explain. He wouldn't bother. He would say, "Oh, there has to be toifeach al manas latfiach." Toifeach al manas latfiach. Wet to the extent that it will rub off the wetness on someone else. Okay, so now back to what one want to talk about is that according to the din, is anything that's dipped into a liquid, before you're going to eat it, you have to wash your hands. Most people today don't do it, but Lapoil, that's the din. Pesach, everyone does it, exactly. Pesach, every Jew does it, but that's the din. Okay, so there is a discussion in Acharonim, the Maharit and the Mata Yosef, which are very big poskim, and they were talking about certain dishes, which old Sephardi, I don't know what, but bottom line is that there was mixing honey. One of the questions they were talking about is mixing honey with apple, and the majority was honey, and a little bit of it was apple. It was like mixed or cooked, blended together. So usually majority rules. So since the majority is honey, it should be considered a liquid. If you dip something into it, you have to wash your hands. So the Marit brings from his Rebbe Avram ibn Iyash, who says that Simon Kufayin, he says no. He says just like by brachas, the din is that if the main thing is the apple, the bracha is b'orei priya eitz, and the honey is only a preservative. Also here, like a bitum avitara, even though the majority is the honey, we don't look at it as honey. We look at it as apple. Apple is not considered a juice. Oh. So the Marit says, how could you learn Tumah V'Tara from brachas? What are you talking about? This is a big mistake. The Alter Rebbe in the Shulchan Aruch says, Paskins, like Reb Avram ibn Iyash. But the Alter Rebbe adds something. The Alter Rebbe says that it has to be that the honey became congealed, that now it's heavy enough to be considered a Ohel and not a mashke. It's congealed, it's heavy, it's congealed. How congealed is congealed? The Alter Rebbe says, he says, if the only way to get it down your throat is you have to move your tongue. Hipuch losh. It's an unbelievable chiddush. I did a search on the Oitzah Chochma, and I didn't find anyone else saying it. So I know it's a chiddush in the Alter Rebbe. What is Makir is I don't know yet, but there's a chiddush in the Alter Rebbe. Now, and he says in the bottom, look in Shulchan Aruch Siman Reish Ches Sif Hey and in the Magen Avram. So I looked. The Alter Rebbe says to look, I looked. Over there it says that if a person takes water and flour and mixes it together, if it's like a drink, the bracha shahakal. If it's heavy and you have to chew it with your teeth, the bracha is mazoinus. The Magen Avram asks, what's if it's in between? You can't drink it mamish, but it's not true. It's a reish and a sefer. What's the in between? So he says chewing in the teeth is lav davka. It means if it's not drinkable. But he doesn't say what exactly is, what's the line? Where do you draw the line? So the Alter Rebbe held that you draw the line like this, that if you drink it, gulp, 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 gulp. If you drink it like this, gulp, gulp, that's called a drink. But if you have to use your tongue to get it down your throat, that's considered an oichel. Now, it's interesting when you look in the Siddur, the Alter Rebbe wrote Seder Bechzlan and said in Tulsibai, he deletes this halacha. He just says that if apple is mixed with honey, you have to look at majority. If the majority is honey, it's honey. So the reason why the Alter Rebbe changed his mind is not because he changed his mind on the idea of losh. He changed his mind because he agreed to the Marit that you can't learn Tumah V'Tara from brachas. They're two different things. Tumah V'Tara, Hakmash in China, Tumah V'Tara has its rules. 1 second, brachas has its own rules. You can't learn one from the other. But this idea that the Alter Rebbe told us his thought in Shulchan Aruch, that what's the line that you draw between something that's oichel and mashke, between a liquid and a solid? The line is, if you could go gulp, 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 it's a drink. If you gotta move your tongue to get it down, that's called an oichel. And I don't see any reason to say that the Alter Rebbe changed his mind on that. Only thing I see the Alter Rebbe changed his mind is that you don't learn Tumah V'Tara to brachas because they're two different rules. Okay. Now that I established this, huh?
If you don't learn it out, then we'll go Basaroi.
Right. So we go basaroi. No, but the Alter Rebbe was moist. He didn't want to accept the Maritz Rebbe. So he said, if majority is honey and the minority is apple and the mixed in good, plus it's also going to be so heavy that you have to. So then I'll agree that it's not called a mashka, and if you dip something into it, it's not the role of a mashka. So when he was had charota in the city, he only had charota on this thing. So you can't learn too much. But this idea that what's the line that's drawn between oichel and mashka is if you go gulp, 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 that's a mashka. And if you have to move your tongue, that's called a oichel. There's no reason to think that Alter Rebbe changed his mind on that. So if I have this right, I have an unbelievable yisoid and chidush. I see a lot of poskim achronim, contemporary poskim talking about it, but they didn't see this Alter Rebbe because I found an Alter Rebbe in Seven Kuf Nolches. They're all saying that you look at L'isa B'Shinov, but you see Mogen Avram, which was the most important posik, says that L'isa B'Shinov is Lav Davka, and he doesn't say what's the line. And I found that the Alter Rebbe has the line. The line is if you go gulp, 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 it's a drink. If you got to move your tongue, that's called a food. I found the line. It's clear. It's in the Alter Rebbe. So back to the ice cream. I think I have it very clear now with the ice cream. You can't go gulp, gulp, gulp when you have ice cream. You can't. That's not the way you get ice cream down.
So no shekel.
So therefore, it's not a drink. It's a food. If it's a food, number one, the shiur of a food is a kazai, is 1 ounce, not 3 ounces. Number two, it doesn't matter how it's for sure. You have to eat it within 4 minutes. And number three, even if you have it at the end of your meal as a dessert, you have to make a shahakal in it. You can't say I'm drinking a drink. You're not drinking a drink. You're eating a food. You're not drinking a drink. And if you made boire priagofen on wine and then you have ice cream, you still have to make shahakal niyabedvorei on the ice cream. I think to me it's clear beyond any doubt of what I'm saying right now.
Rabbi Morozov. Rabbi Morozov.
Milkshake would be a good
question. So that means that if I put it into the make a smoothie from the ice cream, or I made a smoothie in general with fruits, that should be a drink.
Yes, a drink. So if you want to eat something before you go to the Ohel, and you're making achonas, and you learn Tamar, man, you're saying Tehillim, and before you know it's already 2:00 in the afternoon, and you know you're not getting in the summer, you're not going to get till 4, you're not going to get out till 6, and you're not having the koiches to fast. So you take a blender and you put inside a banana and some milk and some yogurt and what's not, you take an apple, whatever you like to have. No, blend it. Put enough milk and blend it that you don't have to move. That's a milkshake. Now that it's a milkshake, shine. It's a liquid. So the bracha shahakal and everything has the din of a liquid. Look at everything. So the shiur is not a kazayis, it's a reviz, down to the fact that it's a liquid. See, that Friedrich Rebbe said no eating but drinking. So fine. So don't eat, drink. Put it in a blender, put in enough milk until it's drinkable, or a chocolate leaven maybe, something. Or if the chocolate leaven is still a little, take a spoon and mix it like quickly. Ad kadei kach that you can put in a straw and take it down, and it's watery. So that's considered water. Now it's a mashka, it's a water. Now back to Sasson's question. So the truth is, Lania's daiti, that ice cream is not a drink. Ice cream is a food. So therefore, if you have dessert ice cream, you make a shahakal. Most people make shahakal when they have ice cream for dessert. I know that Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef said that his father, Rabbi Vad Yosef Zechron Lebrocha, Zechat Tzaddik Lebrocha, said that he was in the soup because he heard from a Moshe, and he was always mocked that they should serve the dessert after, if it was ice cream, after benching. But if he had a suffix, they have to bench, and after making, you have to make also an alaget, because you might have potted it, because if you're mesupik that it's a drink, so you made boire priagofen on the kosher bracha, that might have covered it. So you also have to remember to make alagefen first. So, but I think based on this Alter Rebbe, I think a lot of poskim achronim missed this Alter Rebbe, because this Alter Rebbe is not in Seder B'chsanena. He's talking somewhere else, but I think it's very clear to me that the Alter Rebbe holds that the line that runs between oichel and mashke, if gulp, 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 it's a mashke. If you got to move your tongue, then it's an oichel. And I think it's very clear to me. Now back to Sasson's question, if a person has for dessert a milkshake, not ice cream, but a milkshake. So You could argue one way or the other way, but I think in a final thing, the time is short, the taki should not make a bracha in it, because we don't make, our minig is not to make a bracha when we drink in the middle of a meal. True that Arizal was makpid before he would wash to make a shahakal and drink less than a revis and not make a bracha. We follow the poskim that we don't make a shahakal and drinks in the middle of the meal, because we hold that the water is there to take down the food. So even though you could tell me what this milkshake is for you ordered in the restaurant for dessert, I can over here already. You could say a drink is a drink is a drink. Dessert is usually not part of the meal, and you make a shahakal. But you could say a milkshake, but it's a milkshake is. It depends. If it depends how thick. If it's thick enough that you have to do hipuch loshen, then it's not a drink. Then it's a food. I'm saying if it's thin enough that you don't need hipuch loshen, you could say, oh, it's not really bottled to the meal. You can then it's at least with the sofik loyosan, and you could say a drink is a drink is a drink. But if it has, so again, the line that goes through what is a drink and what is a solid is if it's gulp, 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 it's a drink. And therefore you need to have, if it's a drink, you need in order to make a bracha chrani, you need 3 ounces. And all the other 4.5 kaminas. And bottom line is before you go to the oil, you can't have food, but you can have a drink. Now, back to the question. So now's the other one. How about if I put the ice cream on my tongue and I let it melt? No hipochlosh. How about if I put a piece of chocolate on my tongue and I'm going to have it with coffee and I'll let it melt?
What about an ice cube?
Or an ice cube, the same thing. And how about if I let it melt on my tongue? So I say it's a little bit of a suffix, but there's a beautiful Kehelos Yanke from the Stiplet about this. He's not talking about this going to the oil, but he has a whole discussion about pilpul. The kid said, time is short, but I'll just tell you that he brings a few rayas. And to me, it's a pella. I think all his rayas are shloga upable. Besides one raya that he brings from a Tosfos, which is solid as a rock. Tosfos says, and the Rambam paskins that way. That's the bottom line in Chulin Daf Kuf Gimmel on the base. Let me talk about it this way. Let me just simple. If a person eats one worm, he's chayiv, right? He's chayiv chatas, malchus. He's over an aveda. But one worm is less than a kazais. In order to have kazais, you need to have 7-8 worms smushed together. One worm is not. It's a beria. A beria is one piece. But wait a minute. But what happened if I put the worm in my mouth and I chewed it up? I blended it in my mouth. I chewed it. So now it's not a full thing.
Pieces.
Now it's in pieces. I did a search in my Chachma. I still didn't find someone should say clearly about it. But the Tosfos talks clearly about a similar case. Tosfos talks about Eiver min achai. If that's a tiny Eiver min achai, and he put it in his mouth and he chewed it and then he swallowed it. It's machloikis, and the Tosfos holds that this is the machloikis and that gemara between Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokim. And we pass like Rabbi Yochanan that it doesn't have to be a kazais because it went into my mouth as a berry. Even though I chewed it, you look at it how it goes into my mouth. Okay, the Stipler brings this Tosfos as a raya to something. And the bottom line that I'm going to take out of this is that if you take a piece of chocolate and you put it in your mouth, close your mouth, and then you let it melt on your tongue. So when you put it in your mouth, it's atazoi. So when you put it in your mouth, it was a solid. It was not a liquid. Then it melted in your mouth. You can argue with me. You could say it's different than the case of the Tosfos.
People stick their tongue out to get the ice cream. When it
if you stick your tongue out, it's different. I'm talking if he took a piece of chocolate, and put it on his tongue, and then he's drinking, and slowly the chocolate is melting. So he's saying, I'm not chewing.
And the word Shasta, we see that chocolate.
No, and I'm saying, I'm being madama. Just like Lagabe Beria. You look at it not the way how I swallow it, the way I put it in my mouth. I hear you can be machalik. I'm saying, Lagabe, the question, is it oichel or mashka? You shouldn't look at it the way a person swallows. You should look how it puts in his mouth. You can be machalik. I said, Lagabe beria, you look the way he puts it in the mouth. And Lagabe oichel mashka, the way I swallow. That's what I said. You could argue. This is not solid as a rock. I'm not saying. They sofik. I'm not sure. No, Tosfos is solid as a rock. Lagabe a beria. But if to be medam and to say Lagabe a beria, it's machlokes Rebbe and Shlokish, and the Rambam passes like Tosfos. So if you ask me, if you're planning to be, you want to really be over today, Issa Deraisa, you're really desperate to do it, and you want to know how to do it. To tell you one worm is enough. You could just do one more, even if you don't have the gumsha to swallow it. You were gonna chew it up first. You'll already be over Issa Deraisa. But that's the Tosfos and the Rambam passes that way.
Before.
And if you chop it on the table, then it's a nope. You want not over this Deraisa. Sorry. Got to try again.
Who says the mouth goes in the mouth? What does it talk about?
Tosfos says you look at you
okay.
if you put a whole worm in your mouth, it close your lip. Even though later you're going to chew it up, that's it. Consider you ate a
We're
bag.
just trying to have a little fun with the Tosfos on Sunday morning.
Yes, exactly.
That's the.
How did you get it?
We're not. We're just trying to enjoy.
Right, exactly.
To try to remember the point.
Right,
What if
right.
it's a honey worm?
So.
He didn't swallow it.
Huh? No, he has to swallow it. But after he swallows it, we go back and we look at Yos when he put it in his mouth, it was whole. So we look how you put it in your mouth. So I'm saying maybe also gotta be putting a piece of chocolate in your mouth. You look at it v'shas mais. I'm not sure. So therefore, the maskana, don't have a chocolate or a salad or ice cream and let it melt on your mouth before you go to the oil. If you want to go and you're hungry, you could put it in the blender with enough water or milk until it's drinkable and it goes down, gulp, 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 and then the dinner is kamash.
Too bad you're not in the blender business, with Cyber Monday,
Yeah,
It would
exactly.
be a good segue.
Yeah, it's exactly. Get in.
You could have got 10 sales at least,
Yeah. Why only 10? Thousands.
That's right.
So bottom line is the line that runs between Ohel and Mashka is if you have to be mahapach with your losh. I just want to finish off with the third shaila. Someone asked me on Friday. It was an interesting thing. This is Rosh Chodesh was on Friday. There are people that are makbet every Friday to cut their nails. But Rabbi Yehuda Vachosid said that you're not supposed to cut your hair or your nails on Rosh Chodesh. So someone asked me, so the question is why? And we don't know why. Some poskim say because he knew it's Beruach Kodshe, that it's a sakana. So the question is, did he have a psarai in the Gemara that it's osur or is it sakana? What's the difference if it's osur or sakana? It's a huge difference because we know there's a rule whenever in doubt, suffix that abon and suffix lekula and takazoi the chidod. There's other poskim say that if like this year when you have Rosh Chodesh Kislev on Friday, if your minig is every Friday to cut your nails, cut your nail. But the Mishnah Berurah and the Alter Rebbe are machmir. Why are they machmir? I think because they hold that it's not a question of isu, it's a question of sakona, and therefore let's read it inside the Alter Rebbe Shechnara.
A concept of Gemara that even if something is sakana, but if majority of people are doing it, and then the Lord says
that's right. But this is not one of them. This is not one of them because we see people are makbid. Read it inside Shulchan Aruch Rabbeinu, and the Mishnah Berurah holds exactly the same thing. It's Samar Samach. Noidim b'tzas mekom shaloi l'stapa b'Rosh Chodesh afilu chol b'Erev Shabbos. Now some people hold that Rabbi Yehuda Chassid wrote that in the Tzava only for his children. The Alter Rebbe and Mishnah Berurah don't pass in that way. Hold that he said it for everyone, and they hold Chakshash Sakona. So because the Alter Rebbe holds Chakshash Sakona, that's why he says Afilu Chol B'Erev Shabbos. Had he held that it's Chakshash Isur, he would say, if it's Erev Shabbos, L'Kavit Shabbos, he'd probably be Mekel. But because the Alter Rebbe held that the reason Rabbi Yehuda Chassid said not to cut your hair or your nails on Rosh Chodesh is not because of an Isur Malacha. No, he knew Beruach Kodesh. Rabbi Yehuda Chassid was a very holy person, and we accept that he knew certain things. Like someone asked before, how did Rabbi Shimon Mechai know what goes on Gehenim? Shimon Mechai knows. So Rabbi Yehuda Chassid knows what goes on and what's a sakana, what's not a sakana. So therefore, Chamira Sakanta, that's what the Alter Rebbe says, that even though your minig is every Friday to cut your nails, l'kavet Shabbos Kodesh, but when it's Rosh Chodesh, not to do it. Okay.
What's the procedure for cutting? Left,
we'll leave
right?
it for next week.
Okay.
Okay, to be continued.
You start with left or right? What do you start with? Left or right? Where do you start? Here, 1, 3, 5, and then in between. Do we have 10 that washed? Does everybody wash? No.
Yeah,
Not 1, not 2, not 3. You washed, sir. Not 4, not 5. You washed. Not 6. Not you washed. Why you washed? 4.
I said next week.
1,
I'll
not 2, not
believe
3,
that.
not
I'll
4,
bring
not
it.
5, not 6, not 7. You washed. Not 8.
I watched.
You watched? Okay. Any of you watched? Did anyone watch that game?
I don't think you have a minion, but you have a sim. Definitely could say it about yourself.
Okay.
Yes or no? Am I wrong? Right.
What, with cutting?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I am.
I just want to make sure. I'm going to look.
Oh.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Shkoyach, everyone that's joining us. Have a great day and have a great week. Vayiten Lecha, Yitin, V'yachze V'yitin, Ki B'simcha Teitzeu.